Hey, what is up, everyone? So today I wanted to talk about how all of the characters are ranking up against each other in Fellowship, as well as go over some of the Archon rankings and tier list that they have over here on Fellowship logs. I think that this is an awesome resource if you guys are utilizing it. You can kind of see what's going on within the game, so definitely recommend it, and I'll post a link to that in the description. But basically, starting out, you notice that we have Rhyme on top right now. I think this is no surprise. Rhyme has always seemed very good within the game, but something that's happened within the last week is a lot more people have started to play Mara, actually. So if you go to for the entire tier, you can kind of see what's been happening. You notice right around 1 week ago, Mara started to get played a lot more at the higher level, and now they're starting to see play in a lot of the higher dungeons. Someone who's trailing behind just a little bit is Tariq, and I think that part of that probably just has to do with like the amount of play that he sees. Again, it's still very early within the game, so people are probably still gearing up these characters to like their maximum level right now with like gems and stuff like that. So it is possible that he's a little bit stronger than he appears. That being said, I will say that one thing that I think holds him back is that his fear feels a little bit more niche as a stop. Although it can be very beneficial to have like an AoE stop like that, the fact that it sends everything just running, it can make it so some of the pulls are harder to kill actually rather than easier. Although it will stop the damage for a second, which is nice. But generally, you don't want all of the mobs just like running all over the place. So it's not always super useful. Sometimes it can be a little bit damaging. That being said, although he's seeing less play, you'll notice that he's actually not super bad. If we go to the rankings, you'll notice the number 2 ranked DPS right now actually is Eteric. Now they are few and far between. Same thing with Alarian. Alarian's not super common, but if you scroll down, like you'll see pretty much every single face. You got Amara, you got Artios, you got Rhyme, you got another Artios, Alarian, Mara. So they're all being played, but you're noticing the common trend of there's a lot of Rhyme and a lot of Mara a little bit later down. I've been personally gearing up an Artios, and he's very fun if you can have a group that plays around him a little bit. He really likes those big pulls where you can just do a lot of damage with your massive AoE and dots and stuff like that. And if you don't get that, especially on like your cooldowns, then it could be a little bit rough playing him. But I'm also not super geared, so what do I know, right? Going over to the rankings over here, you'll notice this is how they've kind of placed them on the tier list. So you got Mako and Helena on the top. I do think that Helena is getting a lot stronger over time with the buffs and stuff, but Mako's damage buffs have also helped her out a lot. So overall, they're both very strong. If you're making use of Grand Melee, then I think Helena's great. She does get a lot less squishy as you get more gear. So if you're playing her early on and you're like struggling with her, do know that it does get better. She does get a lot tankier. That being said, it's really hard to compete with the self-sustain that Mako has. And while Mako doesn't have Grand Melee, she does have 2 excellent stops. So she has an AoE stun that she can use. And then she also has a pull that can be used to stop a lot of abilities. So that's also very nice. She did recently get buffs to Twin Soul as well. So now that's her big AoE taunt, like defensive. And now that doesn't die like instantly. Before it would just die like instantly and it wasn't even usable. But now it's a lot more durable and it can hold up a lot better. So those buffs are definitely really nice with Mako. And I think that putting her on top definitely makes sense. If you do look at the All-Star rankings, though, you will notice that there is a lot of Helena on top as well. It's pretty evenly split, honestly. They're both very playable and very good, so I wouldn't really lean one way or the other if you're picking a character based off of this. You could play either one, and they both work great. I have heard some talks that one healer pairs better with another, so I have heard that Sylvie pairs a little bit better with Mako, and Vigor pairs a little bit better with Helena. I don't know if that actually ends up being a little bit true. I think that having like I think the thing is that Vigor has a lot more direct heals that he can throw onto Helena to help her out a little bit, but at the higher level, maybe that doesn't end up mattering. Speaking of which, taking a look at healers, it seems like a very common trend. So you're noticing Vigor is both on top right next to Sylvie, but they're both very playable if we go back to the start. Looking at the leaderboard, you're noticing a very healthy mix right here. There's a lot of Sylvies right here, but it seems like they're both very viable and strong, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Finally, I did want to take a peek at some of the dungeons. So they actually have a dungeon tier list right here. This is based on ease of completion. So this is based off of the plus 33 runs that are happening right now. Keeping in mind that this is based on a coordinated group if they're going off of like plus 33s. So while a dungeon like Wormheart or Stormwatch might be easy at the higher level when you have communication, I do find that these dungeons are actually fairly difficult, much less Wormheart, but Stormwatch when you're playing in a pug and you don't have as much communication, just due to the kicks on the last boss. I think it can be kind of hard to coordinate that kick rotation within a pug group if you guys aren't in like call communicating. So I think that generally I would try to avoid those dungeons in Eternal, but it also really depends on the affix. If the affix is easier, then it's probably going to be a lot more doable. And it's kind of like the theme of the game. It really does depend on the affix for a lot of these dungeons. Some affixes can make things really difficult. Some can make them a lot easier. You're noticing that Empyrean Sands is going to be one of the harder ones. And a lot of that is just due to that last boss at Empyrean Sands. He's very scary. He just does a lot of damage. Might be a little bit overtuned. But overall, yeah, if you're looking for what dungeons you think might be easiest to complete, this is kind of a good guide on how things are looking so far within this year. Other than that, yeah, that's how it's shaping up. Things are looking pretty good in the game so far. I think that I really like the balancing. There have been talks of a new Death Knight tank being implemented into the game, I noticed. So if you guys are looking forward to that, I don't know, sounds pretty cool. I'm interested to see how long they keep this up. If it is just like a game being new sort of thing, and that's why it's feeling a little bit more balanced right now. And if later on you're going to see very clear differences between the few characters. But right now, it seems like the game is pretty balanced, and I'm having a lot of fun playing it. Let me know what heroes you guys are playing in the comments below. And if you guys want to catch me live on stream, I am streaming a little bit of Eternal Progression over on Twitch pretty much every single day, so you guys can check me out there. Other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.